Hola, hola, buen día. ¿Cómo estás? How are you doing? It's funny, I am wearing my Free Cuba shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm wearing a Free Cuba shirt, and this is an unconscious thing. It's the perfect shirt for today's discussion about creative self-expression. My mom's family, my mom was born in Cuba. My grandparents were born in Cuba on my mom's side. And they immigrated here in the 1960s, fleeing Castro's revolution. And they came here to America for the reasons people come to America, to make a better life for themselves, to flee the political violence and oppression there in that country at that time, and it is still ongoing. So a little plug, Cuba is still under an authoritarian rule. It is not okay. This is a nation that has long struggled for its freedom. It's been a colony for really as long as we can remember in modern history, and it is still struggling for just basic human rights and freedoms. And creative self-expression is one of those things, because one of the most beautiful things about America is the ability to freely express ourselves through art and through satire and through music and movies that we make. There's no restriction on expressing ourselves freely, and we can even critique the politics and the government in this country freely through our artistic and creative self-expression. And that's something that the people of Cuba still are not allowed to do. In fact, it is illegal to even form a political party outside of the Communist Party there in Cuba. Forget just, it's not just frowned upon, it's actually illegal to form an opposition party to the Communist Party of Cuba. So that's a suppression of basic human creative freedom, because ideas and philosophy and art is a creative expression from the soul. It's a creative expression of who we are. Our deepest values and our spiritual beliefs can be expressed through creativity, through the things that we write, the art that we make, the songs that we sing, the poems we write, the photos we take, the films we create, the stories we tell. All of those are creative expressions. And for me, I have found creative self-expression to be a very important part of this human experience. It's something that I was attracted to as a kid. I was a child actor. I was 6 years old when I heard an ad on the radio in the car talking about, do you want to be on TV? There's this showcase, kids ages whatever to whatever. And I asked my mom while we were driving the car, hey, I like to play pretend. It would be fun to be on TV. Can I go do that? And her and my dad decided to take my sister and I down. And before you knew it, her and I were out going on auditions and stuff. And it ended up being a short couple-year run for me of being a child actor. And I did commercials, and I did a couple TV shows. And it was a really cool experience. And earlier I talked a little bit about some of the stuff that was imprinted on me. Some of that people-pleasing, the feeling like I got to do something for validation and approval. A lot of that, I think, came from those formative experiences. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. I love to play pretend. I like to make voices. I like to be other characters and just kind of be in the world of make-believe and imagination. So I found that very early on. And I turned to sports after that. And as I got older, I found myself being drawn back to that place. I did art, in high school. I started playing the drums as a senior in high school, making music. And eventually I kind of got back to wanting to work behind the camera, in front of the camera, and exploring all that stuff again. And one of the steps on that journey was when I started to realize the value of creativity and what it gave to me, not in terms of money or fame or recognition or anything like that. I really fell in love with the creative process, and I fell in love with what I was learning about myself through that process. Going back to acting class, doing improv classes, I learned a lot about myself. It forced me to be self-aware. It forced me to become more conscious of my inner life, my thoughts and my emotions, and how those are expressed, and how to kind of learn how to master and work with that. That was an important understanding. In my improv class, I learned how to listen. I learned how to be. I just learned how to be a better person. I came away, I did 3 different levels of improv at Second City. And I remember by the end of it, I wasn't getting any jobs. I wasn't going on auditions even anymore. I just came away going, whoa, I'm a better person. I'm a better listener. I'm more open. I'm more calm in unknown situations because of this class. There's all these things that I got from this. And one of these very pivotal moments was at some point, I grew up watching sketch comedy, Mad TV and Living Color, Saturday Night Live, all the shows like that. Love that stuff. Huge stand-up comedy fan. I still love stand-up comedy. I still love sketch. Chappelle Show, one of my favorites. South Park, love South Park. I love comedy and I love stand-up comedy. And I decided, I'm in this phase where I'm just kind of like exploring stuff. I'm gonna give stand-up a try. And so I wrote some material, rehearsed it, worked on it. I went to this little 5-minute open mic night thing. Went okay, got some giggles here and there, but I came away going, all right, that was cool. Then the next time I went to this thing in Santa Monica, and name got drawn out of a hat, and I had 2 minutes. And I'm like, okay, cool, like I did 5 minutes and I can handle 2. I got up on stage, and it was just like stone cold faces in the audience. And immediately, I just kind of got nervous. See the clock up there? 2-minute clock. Clock starts. I start to do my thing. No response. I start to launch into my stuff. There is no energy. There is nothing going. Nobody's buying what I'm selling. Nobody's receiving what I have to say. There's not a smirk, a giggle, nothing. Just nothing tells me that these faces are connecting to what I'm saying. So then I pivot to something that I'm like, okay, everybody has a relation to this. I'm like, who here goes to the gym? Like, I don't even know if 30 seconds have gone by at this point. Who here goes to the gym? Nothing. Crickets. Silence. And then I'm like, no one here goes to the gym. And that's when just like all that stuff that I mentioned earlier about like the people pleasing and the validation and some of that stuff I think was rooted in my childhood experience as an actor just came roaring to the surface, and like my hands started to shake, and I'm like, okay, thanks, that's it, I'm done. And I put the mic back in the thing, and I ran out of the building as fast as I could because I bombed so bad in a comedic sense. And I remember being outside and like standing against the brick wall, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what was that? That was awful. I feel terrible. Like I'm sweating. My palms are sweating. Like my armpits are sweaty. I'm breathing heavy. Like what is happening? I was very triggered. And then like there was a moment though when I realized why I was triggered. And one was because there was no response. Nobody was responding to what I was doing at all. And that bothered me and that triggered me. But then I had the realization like, yeah, but you didn't come here because you're trying to necessarily be the next Bo Burnham or Bill Burr or Dave Chappelle. You're here because you're trying to explore. You came here because you want to get more comfortable, speaking in front of people and kind of speaking your truth. That was really the intention. It was an exploration. Like, can I just go be comfortable in this space? I'd been doing improv and stuff, and that was a little different than stand-up because you have partners, you have support. So very different. But I wanted to challenge and push myself, and I really freaked out and I panicked. And the realization at that moment was, oh, but I didn't come here for those people. I didn't come here to make anybody laugh or get their approval. I came here because I was trying to do something for myself. And when I remembered that that was my intention, I was kind of immediately released from like that shame and that sensation of failure that had kind of washed over me. And it was a big lesson for me and that's when it really clicked. Like, yes, creativity and learning and growing through expressing ourselves and art, whether nobody sees it or everybody sees it, there's such valuable insight and reflection to who we are and how we express ourselves if we engage in the creative process just for the sake of engaging in the creative process. And my creative endeavors didn't stop there because that was around the time I was already creating digital content. I was filming and editing content for political campaigns and various nonprofits, and I was doing reels and stuff for my friends, stuff like that. And I was making a living doing it. So I had other means and other creative expressions, but what I continued to get from that process, and I still love to engage in the creative process when I feel called to, shoot, this whole course is creative, writing this material is creative. it continues to be a great source of joy and pleasure, because if you look at when we were little kids, that's what we used to do. We used to play. We used to create. You give a kid some markers and they're making all kinds of characters and they're drawing fantasy worlds. You can turn a soccer ball turns into a fireball and you're being superheroes together. Our imaginations are so rich and so wild, and it's so much fun and it's so playful to just play in the world of make-believe and imagination, and to pretend that we're a superhero, to pretend we're the villain, to pretend we're the good guy, to pretend we're the police and that we're going to jail. I've been taken to jail like 1,000,000 times by my niece and my nephews. I'm the world's worst criminal in their world, in their fantasy world. But it's fun, it's playful, it's joyful, and there's a real innocence, but there's also it's really a reflective of something that's in our essence, this ability to use our imagination to create, to shapeshift, to explore, to express ourselves, to sing a song, to write poetry, to write a story, to create music that makes us feel good, to create music that expresses how frustrated we are. Whatever it is, it's a fantastic channel. Expression. So I would encourage you to read the Awakening Soul Force book in the Creative Self-Expression section. You'll hear some of the stories that I shared just now. I elaborated a little bit. But also, I want to encourage you now and moving forward. You're going to practice for the next week, but don't let it just be tonight or today or the next week. Allow this to maybe be something you start to integrate into your lifestyle. Find some time to creatively express yourself in a way that feels authentic, that feels fun, that feels joyful, that might even be challenging. I did the stand-up comedy thing because I wanted to challenge myself, and it confronted me. I melted. I melted down, but addressed a very important key trigger in myself, and it helped me kind of get on the path to overcoming some of the emotions and triggers from that experience of feeling like, ooh, these people don't like me. That was a good healing experience for me at the end of the day. So creativity can be healing, and it can be very expressive. It's an excellent opportunity for us to just feel ourselves out. Does it feel good to express these things? And does it feel good to do this just for the sake of doing it? Creativity can be so cathartic. It could be just like that written, thought observation we did earlier. But I'm going to encourage you to get in touch with your inner child. Go back to being 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And whatever it is that you like to play, if you like to be superheroes, if you like to chase dinosaurs, if you like to be princess in the castle, if you wanted to be a knight in shining armor, whatever it is, find your way into doing something for yourself that's creative in and of itself. So if you got kids and you're around kids, easy money. Just spend some time playing with your kids. Stop being an adult for a second and just have a blast. It's super fun. But if you have an opportunity, maybe sign up for a singing class. Go to karaoke for the night. Start a family band. Draw a picture, doodle. Sign up and do an art class. Sign up for an improv class. Join choir, whatever it is, and do it just for the sake of doing it, just because you like doing it, not because you're expecting to get a paycheck or because you want fame or to get noticed. You're just doing it because it just is fun and it feels good to do it, and it feels good to express yourself. The world of make-believe and the world of creative expression is such an awesome opportunity to, again, get in touch with our almost like a childlike nature, but get in touch with the inner creator in us. Because even if you're not going to be Mozart or Beethoven, or if you're not going to end up being the next, Steven Spielberg or Steve McQueen directing all these movies, even if that's not going to be you, that's okay. Because in the process, you'll probably learn about yourself. You'll probably learn about life. You'll learn about how to be a more effective creator. Whether that's just if you're creating, whether you're creating at work, through the work that you do, creating relationships, creating something that helps other people, creating a business, creating and holding space for people. The creative process and life are very much one and the same. There are so many life lessons and spiritual lessons in the creative process that help, I think, us grow. And I want to really encourage you to explore that. So I'm going to read off a list, as I put this in the book. I'm going to read off a list of things that you can get into right now if you want to. These are all creative things. acting, architecture, art, baking, building, choir, coloring, computer programming, cooking, crafting, creative writing, crocheting, dancing, daydreaming, do-it-yourself projects, doodling, drawing, engineering, exercising, because that's a creative process with our body, fashion, gardening, hairstyling, improv, interior design, karaoke, knitting, landscaping, makeup, music, painting, photography, poetry, puzzling, quilting, sculpting, singing, sketching, spoken word, sports, video games, writing, Zumba. This is by no means an exhaustive list of the ways in which we can kind of creatively express ourselves, either in abstract forms or in physical forms, but it's a start. So I want to encourage you to pick just one activity, or maybe pick all of them. Maybe you just dabble once a week, you jump around and do something new. Have fun being a beginner. Have fun just being a kid. And don't worry about being good at something. You just want to get into the process of creating just for the sake of creating, because it's fun and it's exciting and it's new, and we get a chance to exercise different aspects of ourselves. We get to explore different aspects of our being. And that in and of itself is valuable on the journey to self-awareness, deepening our consciousness, and deepening our connection to our emotional body, our intellectual and mental body, our energetic body, our soul, that creative spark that's inside of us. So I hope this has been helpful and a little bit inspiring. Maybe it's inspiring you to get active. It's part of the course, so at least give it a whirl for a little while just to see how it feels. And also, don't be afraid to reflect on, what comes up in that process. Sometimes we're not used to being a beginner. And I've tried so many different things in my life. I've done like all kinds of stuff. I've thrown myself into things. I've even run for office as a writing candidate, which is like so ridiculous. But, I've just thrown myself into stuff because it's fun for me. I like being a beginner. It's fun to be a beginner and to like not know what you're doing. I've grown comfortable with that. I've not always been comfortable with that, but the more I've done it, the more comfortable I get. And you allow yourself to then just move along through that process of growth. And so there can be such value in learning how to be expressive and be yourself and show up even when there's so many things are unknown. If you can kind of just be wherever you are, there can be liberation on the other side of that. The creative process has been very liberating for me. And so I'm a huge advocate, which is why it's an entire chapter in my book and it's an entire chapter here in this video course. Creativity can be a pathway to freedom. We talked about meditation being a pathway to freedom. So can creativity be a pathway to freedom in a very expressive sense. And so I want to include it in this course. And I really encourage you to pursue that and give it a go. So let me know. Let me know if you sign up for some improv classes. Send me your favorite little stand-up jokes. Show me your favorite impersonation of Jack Nicholson, whatever it is. Let us see the creative being in you. Share it with the group if you want to. If not, that's okay. You don't have to do that either. Do it for yourself. Just do it for yourself because it's fun to be like a kid again, to joyfully and playfully create and express yourself. That's the name of the game in this chapter. Give it a try this week, and I hope that it takes root and sustains you beyond this course, because this could be a powerful tool in unleashing the truth of who you are and living that truth out in the world. Thank you, my friend. We'll see you in the next video.